fucking frightening. Do you know there was an article. This girl I go out with reads this magazine called The Week. It's really great. It's not flavored either way. It's just straight. And oh shit! Now I don't know. I think it's Belgium, but I shouldn't say that because I'm not sure. But one of the countries, Bulgaria or Belgium, one of these countries over there, they did a study, and 100%, 100 motherfucking percent of the churches have abuse scandals. Not 50%. Not 50%.
Every single church.
100 fucking. If your kid is an altar boy in that country, somebody's fucking him in the ass. I mean, what?
100%.
100.
Really, 100%.
That's
they
some
couldn't
good
find
odds.
one church.
Yeah.
That was doing the right thing.
You know, there you
or
go.
the wrong thing. All right, more of Jackie the Joke Man after the break, and we bring in Otto and possibly Buck Angel if he's around.
Oh, boy.
I don't know if he's showing up or not or whatever. We'll figure it all out. Yeah.
This is the Opie and Anthony Show. Sirius XM.
Hanging with Jackie the Joke Man, playing Uncle Vinny's Comedy Club in Staten Island, New York, this Saturday, the 30th.
Yes.
At 8 p.m. You're noticing more and more of our fans going to your shows, Jackie?
You know what? I got to tell you, I love coming on here. And, I want to give this out again. My email list is jokeland@aol.com. JOKELAND@aol.com. I got, I would say, 1,000 emails from people wanting to be on the Jokeland email list from being on the show.
Oh, nice. Right on, man.
And, a lot of people came out. Like, people down in Florida, in Boca came out, up in Queensbury. Get a good response from being on here. I really appreciate you guys having me on. And I have fun. It's a nice hang.
It's pretty much the same fans, too.
Norton needs a shower, but aside from that...
I really do. I'm fucking tired. I've been farting since you walked in the door.
Duh.
At least they're not as bad as they have been.
Yeah, they're not terrible.
Not bad at all.
We actually, driving home yesterday, they were playing a little best of after we left. And it was when Jimmy had oysters and you had blasted... you took a crap in the bathroom in your old studio, in the old K-Rock studio, where the bathroom was right there, and it stunk the entire studio up. Where E-Rock started throwing up.
Did he really?
He went in there and started throwing up. It was a really funny, funny piece. And it's like, what did you eat? And you were like, I had oysters. And
nice.
I don't remember.
Oyster fart. Now, there's a two words that you don't want to really hear together.
No.
It's always great to hear the combo of food that made the fart, though.
Yeah, it is kind of funny when somebody goes, I had some lasagna and beans.
I'm sure Jimmy said oyster and half.
I don't know what the combos are, but seafood
it's always
does.
You were
funny every
gurgling.
time.
Oyster and Guinness,
Oh, God. Down at Oyster Fest.
Otto Petersen.
Hi, Jackie.
Otto playing the Stress Factory tonight, right?
Yeah,
it starts
for that
up.
stretched out midget Vinny Brand.
Hi, Otto.
Hey, Jim, how are you?
Jim.
You got shows tonight, 2 tomorrow, 2 Friday, sorry, and wait, what day is today? Thursday.
It's
Okay.
Thursday.
Jesus, this
Yeah,
week's flying
and
by.
I'm supposed to be judging a Halloween costume thing or something.
At the Stress
something or
Factory,
other,
he's
yeah.
making you do that, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, it'd be
It's not
fun.
good enough
make
that
him
you
win.
You know it's not fun.
It's not fun?
No, you know it's not going to be fun.
Maybe I get
Then he's
bribed.
forcing you to do it.
Yeah.
It should be good enough that you're providing all the laughs for people. Let someone else do the fucking
And I'm a
costume
special event.
contest.
You're
No.
counting on one whore being dressed as a French maid.
Oh.
That's what you're counting on.
Yeah,
right?
something.
You can
Yeah,
put up
it's
with all
gonna
the
be
clowns and the rodeo guys.
Otto, what are you on, the lamb?
What do you mean?
You got your passport in your pocket.
Does he really? I don't like it
You
to
never
get crumpled.
know.
It might, yeah, I know. I might fucking pull a Scott Peterson and just leave.
Just get the hell out of here.
To get in the fucking building.
Oh, you don't have a driver's license?
I don't drive. I'm a non-driver.
right,
I'm a
okay.
non-driver.
When was the
New
last time you
Yorker.
drove a car?
I've never driven a car.
Oh, that's right. We've done
Wow,
this.
that's kind of cool.
I forgot
though.
about this.
Is it?
Have you never even tried like with a
I picture
friend?
myself driving on the Pacific Coast Highway with a convertible, and it's like a movie scene. It's like I'd like to drive before I die.
I picture you driving
wait.
Jane Mansfield.
How do you
through life without
exist?
driving?
How do you?
Subways, walk
Yeah,
a
yeah.
lot.
Where'd you grow up?
In Staten Island.
But Staten Island, you need to kind of
I would
drive,
take
right?
the bus to the ferry and then a subway.
Oh, it's exhausting.
Yeah, it was a
God.
90-minute to get to Times Square from where I live.
Hold on. Oh, that's a tough thing to wrap your brain around. We're
It
making
is.
light of it,
It
but
is.
never drove a car. That doesn't mean he stopped driving a year ago. This means
Yeah, this isn't 1910. This is 2010.
Wow.
What was the reason? Like, everybody has a friend.
I have a pogo stick. It gets me ready to go.
That's a good question.
Was there any reason?
Never's a big word. Like, I've never sucked a cock.
Yeah.
Okay?
You're both missing out.
Never.
I just wasn't interested. At that time, I was very wrapped up in my act and doing street shows, and I just got around like that. Yeah, most kids at 15, that's all they wanted to do is get their first car.
drive.
I couldn't wait
that
to
was
drive.
that was a big
I just
thing.
wanted to hang out with magicians and street
fuck out of the
performers,
house.
and yeah.
That's amazing. George drives, though, right?
George is driving. Around.
I got to ask a stupid question.
Yes.
Did you ever get laid in a car?
I made out in a car. Probably a hand job. It's really not.
Yeah, but that's where you got your
intercourse.
action when you were younger. Where else are you going to go? But you get your
Yeah.
car and you go
Hotel
drive somewhere
rooms.
else.
I lived in
I didn't have
residential
money for
hotels.
hotel rooms when I was 16,
I
I
17.
did. I had
17,
money.
yeah.
I was making money. I was
Yeah.
making $200 a day on the street.
That's because he wasn't driving.
I've known Jackie. We go back to the
A zillion years.
What? Mid '70s, late '70s.
Well, I didn't
The
start
Rainy
till
Night
like
House.
70 years. The Rainy Night House,
The
1979.
Rainy Night House in Queens on what was that? Union
Turnpike.
And 200.
I remember sitting there and watching this guy, and I said, "There's not a funny bone in this guy's body." And then the next time I came back, I said, "You know, this guy, he's a little funnier now." And it was fucking Paul Reiser.
Oh.
He wasn't even a little bit. But
Yeah.
Wait,
The
you
first-
can't just jump past that.
No. He
Reiser just wasn't funny?
But he probably was. I just wasn't sophisticated. You know,
Yeah.
like he was up there just, rambling. And I'm
one
like,
of those guys.
where are the fucking jokes? You know,
Eddie
and then
Murphy.
like 6
Where are
months
the
later, he
jokes?
was funny. The first time I saw you, and I had, God damn it, I haven't thought about this in 20 years. And I had it on a micro cassette, and I don't know what happened to it. He looked like he'd be interesting, so I turned on the micro cassette to, for whatever reason, because I'm sitting with Rob Bartlett, and we're sitting there, and I had never seen Otto before, so I don't know his act from Adam, right? And neither at Bartlett. This is in the very, very beginning,
Or Jay Moore.
1979. So fucking Otto gets up there, so you don't know what's part of somebody's act and what isn't. And there's an Asian girl sitting right in front of him.
Oh, no.
And I don't know this is a mainstay of his act, so me and Bartlett were going to quit comedy that night because we thought this is off the top of his head. And it turns out his main thing. But he goes up there with the fucking dummy, and we're already peeing. And he goes, blah, 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 blah. And all of a sudden, he just takes George and pushes George's face nose to nose in front of the girl and says, "Excuse me, miss, are my fucking shirts ready?" And I'm telling you, on this micro cassette, you can hear me and Bartlett gasping for fucking air. And but it's something he's been saying forever. And I thought it was just off the top of his. Oh my God! We said we got to get out of comedy, and I've been laughing at him. He's just one of the funniest.
I just don't go for the salty talk.
Oh yeah.
I don't go for that salty, peppering in that salty language. I don't care for that.
I had to do some fucking phoning yesterday. This guy was really on my nerves. He was like, he was wanting me to do jokes about Greg Giraldo, and he's like saying, well, what do I feel about gays in the military? I go, I don't know. There's a war going on. What do you want, bits from me?
Yeah,
maybe I was cranky.
What show
but
is that?
Just some fucking stupid internet thing. Just couldn't. I'm so much more comfortable with you guys.
What do you want
wow.
to joke about Giraldo? I'm not
Yeah.
saying that's off limits. I mean, he was a comic, but I mean,
What were
What's
they
funny
trying
about
to
that?
get
It was a
at?
terrible thing. I don't
Let's
know.
go back to you being comfortable. You don't
Yeah.
seem very comfortable to me.
I don't. We're doing a roast for
Florentine, yes.
Tuesday, and the money's going to go to the
Greg's
surviving-
Kids.
Yeah.
Next Tuesday,
That's a great
comics.
cause.
Yeah.
At comics. Who else is on it? I'm on it. You're on it.
Everybody. I saw
Yeah,
the lineup. It's
Florentine,
everyone
Jameson,
you know.
Oh, is that
Bobby
going to be a
Voss.
bash fest?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you
Just
guys
be
know
mean.
him too well.
Just be mean as possible, right? And roast, yeah.
You lived with him for
3 years.
3 years, so
Yeah. Fuck your mother.
Yeah. This cunt.
Leaving it, boy.
Yeah.
I lived with him for 3 years.
3 years in that shithole, moldy fucking apartment.
Got me my first paid gig in comedy. I love Florentine.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's great.
So me and Jackie were in Comedy's Dirtiest Dozen and The Aristocrats and a thing called Rules for Men. That's 3 films, fucking
Look at us.
underground.
Movie star.
Yeah, just
The Aristocrats is
Yeah.
a great flick.
Yeah.
Man. I love that one.
Great fun.
I never knew it was going to get released. I thought we was just crapping around.
Nobody knew.
Yeah.
No, they came into your apartment with a camera, like, hey,
Talk about this.
Professor said, "Oh, I got to put you in this movie because you told me the joke 30 years ago."
Yeah, The Aristocrats was great.
I didn't even tell a joke. I just fucked around and talked and told a few jokes.
I was against it. I'm not really a joke teller, and I don't find that joke that hilarious. But he convinced me to do it because he said all the A-list stars were in it.
It was a whole goof. It was a whole fun thing.
Yeah.
Because it was a fun thing to fuck around with a million years ago. And in the movie, I actually recreated what I decided I was going to quit stand-up on the road because I thought I had a chance of doing more on the Stern Show. I was working 2 days a week, and Nancy said, just stop going on the road and you'll be available. And when I quit going on the road, then I was available to be there 5 days a week. And when I'd made the decision, I was at Zany's in Nashville, and I said, this is my last week. I'm not fucking coming out on the road anymore. So I got so drunk, and I was telling the joke to somebody, and when I got to the punchline, I literally ran and slid on my belly, in the shit and the diarrhea, And I recreated that, but it was so much fun to tell that joke, and they didn't go to the interesting part of that was the guy Legman with the big thick book that they talked about.
Oh yeah.
His premise was that you are defined by what you find funny, which is a real interesting premise. And he had 2 huge joke books. He was a big collector. He was a madman. And the last joke on the last page was the Aristocrats, and I had been telling that joke for years before I discovered that was the last joke.
Because that movie hasn't been out in a while, could you bring in the audience a little more? It's an old vaudeville joke, basically.
It's just a ridiculous joke, and I laughed at the wrong thing for years.
Right. The wrong thing.
Let me just say so.
Yeah, go ahead.
So the bottom line is, here's this Aristocrats joke that's my favorite joke that I've been telling to people, and this is like 1980. And here it is. And he says, the following joke was told to me by a guy who was raised in squalor by 2 battling parents, but they stayed together for 40 years battling for the good of the children. And I'm like, they just described my motherfucking childhood, and this is my favorite joke. It's completely, it made what his premise absolutely on the money. And in the movie The Aristocrats, that the old magician told the Gershon Legman version of the joke, which was much shorter. And I think if it gets too long, it gets lost and gets crazy. But the bottom line is, a guy, when I tell this joke, they said it in The Aristocrats, when I tell this joke, I say that the guy goes to a low-level show business agent. And I say, when I tell this joke, I always picture Joe Franklin's office. And in the movie, they actually cut to Joe Franklin's office.
Joe Franklin.
And what's so funny is Joe Franklin had an office where you could hardly walk in because it's all full of crap.
I know.
And then he moved. And I'm like, how could they possibly move? And he moved to a different place.
He's a hoarder.
It's exactly the same. They moved all that crap, right? But the guy goes and says, this is for the audience, so they hear the joke. He says, like, you want to tell it? You don't want to. You don't like that.
No, I can't.
The guy,
I gotta have stuff here.
the guy goes to a show business agent and he says, I got an act. I'd like you to look at the act. And the guy says, well, there's no room in my office. Come out in the hall. So they go out in the hall. And he stands there, and the guy goes around the corner. He comes back around the corner. He goes, and he takes out his dick and starts whacking his dick. And he goes back around the corner. All of a sudden, he comes back around the corner with his wife. He's got his dick, and then all of a sudden, he rips off her blouse and starts playing with her tits, and he's playing with his dick. And he goes back around the corner. And then all of a sudden, he comes around the corner, and he's got his mother and his father with him, and he comes out, and they're French kissing and making out, and his father starts fingering his mother, and he's jacking off, and he's playing with his wife. And all of a sudden, they go back around, and then they come back around, and it's the grandmother and the mother, and it's the guy and his wife, and they're all naked, and the kids come out, and the guy takes his shit, and then takes his son and pushes his son's face in the shit, and then pisses on the back of his son's head, and his sister starts playing, and they're all waddling in the shit, and all of a sudden they go, da! He says, the agent, what do you think? And the agent says, well, it's different. He says, what do you call yourself? And he says, the Aristocrats. Which is just stupid. It's so fucking stupid. But they get into the whole thing with, kids dying and everything.
Well, the joke is told differently by a million different guys. That's the key to the joke. With the punchline being the same every time.
It's very long. It has a dynamic, though, where you'll be like, all right, where's he going? But then the longer it gets after that, it gets funny again.
It's like a Shaggy Dog story. It's
so,
like, how much patience are you, how much are you going to invest with somebody?
Are
you on a car ride where you want to eat up a half hour?
Right.
It's well done. The documentary